Hey, what is up, everyone? Welcome back to another video. So today I wanted to do a bit of a follow-up because yesterday on stream we went over that body cam footage from the Orem Police Department, specifically the officer that was talking to the Bricks and Minifigs current CEO. And I say current because we don't know how much longer he might last in that position given all the stuff that's happened, but you never know. But just in case something ends up happening and he doesn't end up staying in that position, I'm going to say current CEO of Bricks and Minifigs, Ammon McNeff, is seen talking to this officer in this body cam footage. Now, this body cam footage was back in March, and it was around the time that Sheldon Norcross had gotten arrested, and I think a little bit after, in that same day, was when that infamous raid happened on the Airbnb where Ben and his friends also got arrested. So the things I wanted to address today was actually a follow-up video that Ben did responding to this body cam footage being released, which you can see here. It's on his, I believe, Ben Schneider channel, or it might be on his Reckless Ben channel. I don't know. It's on one of these two channels. It says Reckless Ben and Ben Schneider, so maybe put it on both. But anyways, I'll link the video in the description below for those of you that want to see it in its entirety. And there's a point here in the video. I won't go through the entire video, but I want to go through one part specifically here in the video where Ammon McNeff makes some very, very, very crazy claims that I'm not sure that he can possibly hope to substantiate, which you'll see it right here.
Threatened to kill some of the staff. And so they're just like, hey, if you don't, we're gonna kill you if you don't give this guy his money back and all this other stuff.
So we already know about this. Ammon and Josh, this is a lie that they've peddled almost from the beginning, right? The whole idea that, oh, Ben and his friends, they threatened violence and all this other stuff, right? Which again has never been proven to be true by any other kind of footage or any. It's all hearsay, right? We've heard this before, and again, as I've said before, is it possible that staff and stores have experienced this? Sure. Was it Ben? No, they have not been able to prove that it was Ben or anybody in Ben's group that did this, and I don't see any reason why they would do this. It was probably other people that had caught wind of the story that probably went in of their own volition and decided to do this. Until there's some evidence that proves otherwise, that's what I believe is what actually happened. But let me continue on here.
Stuff and like all these things, and so we're like, dude, like you guys have to go through the appropriate legal channels. Right. This guy has nothing to do with it, right, other than he just gets off on making videos and like if you look him up again, he goes by the name of and he films himself doing illegal things all the time, and then he gets his videos taken down, do all sorts of research on him. That's what we're dealing with, is a guy who, like, honest to goodness, he's a sociopath. Okay. As we've done some additional searches on him, he has it appears that a relative of him, of his.
So this is where it gets really crazy. But before this next claim that Ammon makes, he calls Ben a sociopath. So I guess Ammon, on top of everything else, I guess he moonlights as some kind of psychologist or something, or maybe he has a degree in psychology that we didn't know about. So he's able to diagnose Ben, apparently.
Because he's originally from Ohio, and then he moved to LA. Some relative of his with the same name, that, like, based on what we can piece together, was convicted of child porn or child sexual contact, some of these other types of things. So there's a very real chance that he may have been abused as a child, but that set him through a mental disorder, kind of whatever the case may be.
Look at this. This is such a crazy claim by Ammon, right? Some guy that has the same name as Ben got accused of some stuff apparently in Ohio, or was convicted of some stuff in Ohio. Therefore, somehow that relates to Ben, and therefore, somehow Ben himself might have also, Reckless Ben himself might have also been a victim of some of this horrible stuff, right? Has no way to substantiate this, right? He thinks they've pieced it together. Oh, similar name, lived in Ohio, just like Ben used to live in Ohio. So therefore, they must be related because they have the same name. That's not how that works. You'd have to do a lot more digging and get records and all that, right? You'd really have to cross your T's and dot your I's if you're going to be making claims like this, right? And the outlandish claim that he's making here that, oh, maybe Ben is doing all this stuff because he's mentally ill, because, you know, some guy did some stuff to him when he was a kid that was really inappropriate and it messed him up. It's just like, this is insane that he would make such a claim. And I hope that this is something that is actionable in court, that Ben will sue him for when Ben decides to counterclaim, right? Because now it seems like, I don't know, I could be wrong, but it seems like now we're getting into the territory that Ammon is saying defamatory stuff, right? Which is what he's been claiming about Ben and his group, right? That they defamed Bricks and Minifigs, they defamed him. They've been defaming, you know, Josh Johnson and all this stuff. But look at the stuff that Ammon is saying, right? Absolutely crazy.
He's clearly a sociopath who does not care about like the system.
My whole family's like pretty close, and
he says that Ben is clearly a sociopath. How is that clear, right? Have you somehow gotten a hold of Ben's medical records or some kind of doctor that he's been seeing, right? Some kind of psychologist or therapist that he's been saying that has diagnosed him and has confirmed that to you, Ammon? I doubt that, right? Because that would go against patient-client privilege, right? In those instances. So he says that Ben is clearly a sociopath. How? You mean in your opinion, you believe he is? And that's fine. If it's your opinion that he is, that's one thing, right? You could be of that opinion. But it seems like now Ammon is going to great lengths here to say things very declaratively, almost declaratively as statements of fact, which is crazy, considering, again, one of his causes of actions against Ben is defamation. But I digress. Let's continue here.
I'm like 99.999999999% sure that's not true. But if it is true, I would like to know who that is. So, because I would, that's probably important information for me if there is someone in my family that's like that. But
just a really quick update. I think we found the guy that Ammon's talking about.
Athens man is sentenced after he was found guilty of 110 felony counts for recording and distributing child pornography.
Oh my God. Yeah. Lock this dude up forever, throw away. Well, they already did. Dude needs to, wow.
From his home. Benjamin Schneider is sentenced to 8 years in prison.
8 years, that's it? That's crazy. I'd be surprised if that dude makes it out. If he makes it out of prison. Because you know how they handle people like that in prison.
He also got charged in Ohio, and he has a very similar name to me. It's actually the exact same name as me. And maybe he thought that this person was me. Maybe that explains why he's saying I have been arrested multiple times. I mean, clearly this person is not me. I mean, but also maybe Ammon's not the smartest person in the world, so maybe he thought that we were the same person. I don't know, but this is the closest I was able to find of what Ammon could be talking about.
We know this guy's a sociopath, and so we are very afraid for our staff.
We know. Look at that. Look at how he says it so confidently. Ammon, we said that Relic said this on the stream yesterday, and I agree with him. That Ammon lies. You know, the more he lies, he you know, especially now that he's told these same lies, he's saying them much more confidently, right? And I agree with that. Yeah, the more he tells the same lie, the more confident he is in saying it. Like somehow, some way, if he keeps repeating the same lie and he says it with much more confidence, that somehow that's going to make it true. It's insane.
And these guys coming in, they've threatened people before.
Insanity.
They don't care about the law, right? Right. And that's what makes us very scared, is because, again, like, and I'm kind of asking a serious question. In your opinion, would you go get a shotgun and bring it in the store?
Look at what he's talking about here. Look at what he's talking about here, right? Because this is something else we went over on the stream yesterday, was the fact that Ammon was like encouraging potentially. I don't know what he's telling his employees, right? How much he's hyping them up and making them think like Ben is like this great threat, to the point where employees would have to arm themselves to protect themselves against him, when all Ben has done is go in and ask questions. They know this. Ammon knows this. He's gone in and asked questions, and when he's been asked to leave from places, he has left with really no resistance. I mean, you know, one could argue the exception was when he first entered the Salem Kaiser store, that he didn't leave immediately, and he probably should have. But at the same time, you look, I feel no sympathy for the manager there, Amanda, right? Because I believe she knew a lot more than what she was letting on. So, but that's a whole nother thing to talk about on the live stream later, if that's something that's, you know, the chat will be interested in talking about. But getting back to this, right? We've seen Ben multiple times going to places when he's been asked to leave. He's left. He's complied, right? So this whole idea that he's some kind of bigger threat, like I would understand, again, if Ben had ever come into a store with weapons or something like that and actually threatened people, then yeah, then you might want to have people at that store be prepared because he's an unhinged lunatic. But let's be real here. If that had happened, right? If Ben had done that, he would have already been in jail a long time ago, right? And would have been facing some serious charges if he had ever done that. And just like if anybody has done that, if anybody has gone into these stores and has threatened the staff and has pulled weapons on them or anything like that and is, you know, threatened violence of any kind and looks completely unhinged, I would hope that they've been arrested and they're in jail and they're facing some serious repercussions. But that's not Ben or Ben's crew. So the fact that Ammon, again, talks like this to this officer, oh, I don't know, maybe my staff should be armed. Why? It's almost like you're creating this crazy sense of panic within your own staff. It's like, what if one of your staff is already like a nervous wreck as it is, right? And decides to come into the store one day packing heat, right? And then somebody comes into the store and they get mildly loud because they're disgruntled, not even threatened anything. And this guy ends up, and one of the employees ends up panicking and ends up actually shooting someone or hurting somebody, right? Because of the stuff that Ammon has been saying and filling up their heads with, right? Getting them like in this nervous panic mode. Like that would be on Ammon, I would think, right? For hyping his staff up so much. So it's insane to me that he would even suggest that. Right? That's just call the police and have these people removed. Obviously, look, if there's a legitimate threat to the store, I would understand that. If somebody came in guns blazing, right, or trying to rob the store and with weapons drawn, I understand that. But again, it's like, you know, I hate to say it, right? But it's almost like Ammon is hoping Ben would come back to the Orem store, right, and hype up his staff so much that maybe one of them would potentially hurt Ben, right? That's what it seems like. I can't say that for sure, right? I can't say that as a matter of fact, but when you're doing this thing where you're fear-mongering your staff so much and getting them on edge about this guy like he's a greater threat to you and to the public, what is that going to do to the people that work with you? And what if they're already on a hair trigger as it is and as far as nervousness goes, right? And that pushes them over the edge where they feel like, oh my gosh, this guy's coming, this reckless Ben guy, he's coming to hurt us here at the store. He might even potentially off us here at the store. So we got to take care of him before he takes care of us. It could happen. And it would be completely on Ammon if it did, in my opinion, right? So, well, probably even legally, now that I think about it, not just in my opinion, maybe even legally that he could be on the hook. I don't know, but this is insanity, right? We'll go over the rest of this video on tonight's stream. I hope you guys will tune into that. We're also going to go over the rest of the body cam footage from Orem PD because there's some stuff in there that I think is worth going over. So I hope you guys will tune in for that. If you're not subscribed to the channel, be sure to subscribe, hit the notification, and I'll catch you all later on tonight. This is nuts. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below.